Hello and welcome to another episode of Are You Effing Serious? I'm one of your hosts, Tex, and this is my boy.
JC from Jersey.
Alrighty, we're here to go ahead and touch base with you on another couple of issues today. Go ahead and some things running through our minds, and again, hopefully they're running through yours as well. What you got for first for us, JC?
So starting off, it's a very interesting survey that came out.
Okay.
Most Americans are swaying away from McDonald's. It says that upscale fast food like Starbucks and Panera Bread are getting really popular. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I would never ever consider Starbucks to be fast food.
That's what they're calling it.
But I myself, I used to be a very big fast food, McDonald's guy. The fries were always a thing. But the double cheeseburger, like when they came up with the double cheeseburger, that was like my go-to. Like at least 3-4 times a week, I'd be at McDonald's, get a double cheeseburger.
I could go for one.
Yeah, but then it became that thing where I remember when I was younger working at McDonald's, it was just like I remember seeing the patties of meat. I haven't seen them now, but I remember then, that pale pink, texture and feel to them. Like I just couldn't understand what type of meat it was. And then it was a matter of, not only does the meat taste different now as it did then. Not that I'm older, but
Really?
it's different recipes and stuff.
I know what you mean.
Now knowing that they use that meat slurry in order to make it, I've just stopped eating there myself.
You mean the pink slime?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, I used to work at McDonald's too when I was in high school. I know what you mean. The conditions aren't always that great. Nothing against the food, but the pink slime doesn't turn you on to eat it.
It doesn't help. And so for me personally, it feels like I'm not eating a real burger. So for me personally, like when it comes to if I want to eat a burger or some fast food, now it's Burger King or mostly Wendy's.
What about Panera? Like they said, Panera. Starbucks has good stuff, but Panera bread. How are the sandwiches?
Okay. I've eaten at Panera Bread a few times, and I can only say that Panera Bread is not that everyday eating for me, only because, to be honest, for what you're getting, I consider it to be very expensive. Everybody...
It's upscale.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody wants to consider just because you use a certain ingredient or you make it a certain way that it's going to make it upscale, and it doesn't. It's more along the lines that I remember I was living in Pennsylvania, in the Tobyhanna area. I was working for Bank of America at the time.
Huh?
And during the training class, essentially we would get an hour for lunch. And we were on top of this mountain, Montage Mountain. And the thing is, at the time there was only one small strip. You had to go essentially 40 minutes to make it to the McDonald's, and then had to try to make it back.
That's a nice commute.
The only other place to eat was in the cafeteria, which was always packed during lunch. Or you could go down to the bottom of the mountain because it was a baseball stadium because the Scranton B team played there, and they had a restaurant inside there where you could go get food. So at first it was really hard, but then they opened up a Panera in that strip. Now once they opened up the Panera, because it was so close, I started going there, during my lunch breaks. And the thing is, like I said, I thought it was really, really expensive. I remember $7, I believe, is what I paid for basically a bowl of soup inside a piece of bread. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, it was tasty, but at the same time, for what I paid for it, I didn't think that it was worth it. And so, with people shying away from fast food as far as McDonald's, I think they should be looking more along the lines of, more home-cooked meals. Or if you're going to spend that much, you should at least go to a place where, you can get a cloth napkin. Because you can do Applebee's essentially for the same price that you can do Panera.
I get that. I will say for Starbucks and Panera, the coffees are great, but I don't go there just for coffee.
Well, I don't drink
better
coffee.
Than Dunkin' Donuts, a little bit better than Wawa, Circle K, but not worth going to for a cup of coffee.
Where does 7-Eleven fit into that?
You know what? 7-Eleven is not as good as Circle K.
Okay.
And I've lived all over the country like you, so no.
Okay.
Definitely.
Again, I don't drink coffee. I'm a hot chocolate drinker. Every once in a while, I might get a macchiato. But I will say, when it comes to those rare moments that I feel like getting a macchiato, I do have to say that Starbucks is the place to go. Only because they're really the only ones that seem to understand or even know what a macchiato is.
I completely understand. So, I guess we're moving on.
Alrighty. The next thing we got here is Twin Peaks is actually doing a remake that's going to be coming to Showtime.
I heard about that.
Right. A lot of people I know are very excited about it. Twin Peaks was a very big show when I was growing up. It was before like American Idol, before Melrose Place. There was Twin Peaks. It was like that show that people tuned into every week. Dallas was like actually going down. Like it was like his final years of Dallas when like Twin Peaks like really came on.
Do you want to see a remake though?
To be honest, if they're bringing the same characters, like if they do what they did with the Dallas remake, where they bring the characters back, further along this timeline, I think it could be interesting. But as a whole, it's not something that I personally would want to see. I think there's a lot of remakes that they're making that they shouldn't make. I think it's should be a lot of new things, or if anything, take the old ideas and spin them, find a way to make them fresh. But as far as TV show remakes, Twin Peaks is not one of them.
There's another one, The Odd Couple. That's going to be released in a couple months.
Now that depending on who they get for that, and also what network.
The guy from Friends, the one that played Chandler, he's playing the sloppy one.
Matt Perry.
Yeah, I believe.
Okay. Well, you know what? I believe Matt Perry can play the role, so that's not going to be an issue. Again, it's more along the lines of how you're going to make it new, because essentially The Odd Couple is already on TV now in the form of The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, Odd Couple had less people, but yeah, I agree with that. It's like nerds and the hot chick and the culture clash, and then how they become friendly. Yeah,
but you got two basically alternate extreme people that basically come together living in this situation, and then, like you said, you got the people around them, and the thing is like they didn't examine the work relationship back then, Felix and Oscar. And the thing is like nowadays with everybody being so focused into the what makes a person this and what do they do at home and how are they at work and stuff like that. I think that's the reason why they had to expand it, but it's already on TV. I don't see another reason to bring it out. And again, I think the network that it's on is also going to play a big role, because with the shows that are currently on TV now, I don't see how it's going to play into anybody's lineup.
I don't know either. They seem like just one-offs.
Yeah.
Don't really trends. I can't see that as the setup to like Big Bang Theory. Can't.
No.
The lead-in.
No, but I mean, like you said, if you look at least the first, how they met, episodes, I know you can definitely see it there. I mean, if you're gonna bring back remakes and stuff like that, I hate to say it, I mean, I would much rather see a live action Dennis the Menace. I mean, I'm serious. Something like that, where it's the matter of you have, a lot of different, avenues in order to put play these situations out, and then bring in these other guest, stars and appearances.
I can see that. I could see a Dennis the Menace or Beverly Hillbillies or something of that nature. There's so many great shows from the 60s. Any of those.
I could definitely see a remake of Beverly Hillbillies. Like the movie that's on TV that everybody's talking about now, Empire. Yeah. Empire, I've watched two episodes so far, and I think it's a great show. I think Terrence Howard and Taraji Henderson are definitely doing their thing as far as making this show work. Timberland did the music on it, and again, big production, great stuff. I've told a lot of people after watching the first episode I saw, it's kind of like if you were to take the Hustle and Flow movie,
yes,
and essentially fast forward 15-20 years, where the character's now out of jail, he's made a couple albums now, now he's moving on, him and the character played by Taraji in that movie, they worked out, had some children, so on and so forth, and then basically we come back into it now. I mean, that's how it seems to me, and I like it. I mean, I really think that could work. I think this show could definitely stay on a while, and I can't think of any TV show that's been like that before, which is why I think we definitely need this new stuff. Right. But the new Thundercats, like I said, I mean,
they tried that again, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually it's on now. They have one now.
Okay, yeah.
It's more of an anime themed Thundercats. Mm-hmm. I grew up watching the original and loved it.
So did I.
Personally, the fact that they're bringing out another one only shows me that there's still love, and want for it there. And personally, I would love to see an actual movie of that coming out. Even a TV show, a live action TV show I think would be good. You know, kind of and maybe in the vein of Power Rangers, just a little more, action and not.
They could give it a shot. I mean,
Pose.
shows from the 80s and 90s. I mean, the Jetsons movie was such a train wreck, but
If they were to do a live action
do so much with
Jetsons,
it.
it would be amazing. And that was the problem, is that the TV shows that we grew up, they expected them to transfer over into movies so readily, which they did, but it was the fact that they thought that we wanted to see them. And the thing is, we didn't want to see them then. It would have been a matter of, like, when I was 10 years old watching the Flintstones and the Jetsons, if you would put out a movie then, which they did, of course, but, it would have been much better as opposed to now, so many years later, as an adult, because the kids don't understand or even recognize, who these TV, icons are and cartoon icons are.
Got a valid point. So I can go along with that.
But hopefully it'll all work out.
That's cool.
Next thing we have to talk about is the Johnny Depp.
Oh yes, Johnny Depp. Well, this is his third movie in a row that bombed at the box office. Mordecai bombed. A lot of people in Hollywood are saying, is Johnny's career over? He's in his 50s now. 3 bombs in a row. He's Pirates was his really last hit. Does he have the momentum he had in 21 Jump Street and some of his early films, or is it because he's old?
The thing I think that people are really looking at as far as bombing is that essentially you're comparing it to other bodies of work.
Yes.
Now, this movie did apparently approximately 10 million opening weekend. Now, I don't know who's looking at it, but 10 million in opening weekend sounds pretty good. That doesn't sound like a bomb to me.
Compared to 100 million for Pirates or Donnie Brasco's 50 million,
But that's the thing, it's the matter where if you're comparing it, to bodies of work, then yes, it may have bombed, but by doing 10 million, that shows that the fans are there. People want to see, Johnny still do movies. And the thing is, from the previews, it looks to be different.
It's a comedy.
And it looks funny. I think I would enjoy the movie only because of the actual setup of the movie and the premise. And the thing is, I can get past the fact that it's Johnny Depp playing the character.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people can. A lot of people are used to Johnny in a certain way. I mean, the movie was Transcendence.
Yeah.
I saw that movie recently. And the thing is, completely different role than he's done in a very long time. But at the same time, it was a decent movie. I mean, it wasn't, my all-time favorite. Nah. It could kind of made me think of the one what was it, John Turturro? I want to say it was like Room with a View.
I heard of that.
But yeah, so something like that. Where you play the writer. You know what I'm saying?
That was based on a Stephen King book.
And so again, it's like
Skeleton Key.
There's so much that Johnny Depp has such a wide range. That the thing is, he can do all these different types of movies, and the thing is, I believe it's to the point now he's doing it for the love. I don't believe he's doing it trying to make movies, just to make other people happy. And a lot of actors are like that, where they'll do one for them and, for the studio, and one for me, or two for them, or one for me. And the thing is,
he can do comedy, though.
Yeah.
Remember Benny and June?
He's a funny guy. He's an amazingly funny guy. And even at 21 Jump Street, you know what I'm saying? Even he, funny then. So I don't think people need to worry about Johnny Depp. As far as films bombing, you know what? Let it be where, okay, if he did 150 for this big budget movie, but again, Mordecai, isn't that type of movie. It doesn't have the same lineage behind it.
It's not Transformers.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a good movie. And, Donnie Brasco, again, different type of movie, different actors all the way around. So
More serious.
Yeah. So, Johnny, you're good. Don't worry about it. You're going to be all right.
Well, moving on. Our next story. It's a big year for video games. 2015, we'll see some of the great video games brought back. Mortal Kombat 10 and Street Fighter 5. Now, we're about the same age, in our 30s. We grew up on this. Street Fighter 5, Mortal Kombat 10. Should we care?
Only if Liu Kang has risen to the point where Raiden was in the first one.
Okay.
Like, if Liu Kang's power is up on that level, then yes. because it has shown growth, it has shown maturity, it has shown that over time, maybe there's been other battles and he's been winning and winning, getting more powerful. Maybe if their story can connect it, then it might be interesting. But as far as playing it, no. I mean, I don't think we're going to end up playing it. I remember going to the video arcade in South Park Mall in Colonial Heights, to the video arcade, in the PX on Fort Lee. And, teenagers, children, GIs, all loaded in there playing the hottest games. Again, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter being two of the most premier ones. And I remember, the battles and the lines to play these games.
Very good games.
Because the gaming industry is now more home-based and not arcade-based, I don't think, the movies are going to get that push here that they would, as say, like in Japan. I believe that, we're going to get the after effects of it. We're going to get, that on the back end. But again, at least for someone in our age demographic, if the story isn't basically telling, catching us up on what's been going on, we're not going to care. Yeah. Because it'd be like if they were to do another movie.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not going to basically tell everything, because again, who's going to play, Raiden now? Because you're not going to get Chris Lambert again. So it's like, you got to be able to tie us in, make us believe and feel connected like we once were.
Definitely.
Street Fighter. I can tell you honestly, Street Fighter was an amazing movie. I love it. I love it, love it. Raul Julia, I think, was an amazing actor, and I think he and Van Damme made that movie work. But as far as another video game, it's again, the young people really don't, have that history of the game, so I don't think it's going to be that big thing.
You know what it is? 2 was such a hit. It was hard to top. 3, I thought 3 was the best. I don't know if you played 3.
For which one, Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Street Fighter 3. 3 was amazing.
2. I remember playing Street Fighter 1 and 2, essentially in the arcades. And then any other time I played Street Fighter after that was actually at somebody's house on the gaming system. So I couldn't say which Street Fighter it was.
Street Fighter 3 was basically, there was 3 versions. They were called Impact 1, 2, and 3. Street Fighter 3 basically is everybody gets one special move per fight. You get to choose between 3 special moves for your character. Okay. 1 time per fight.
Sounds crappy.
I thought it was probably the best because 4, if you played 4, they look very steroidy, like they work for Vince McMahon. The character models are huge and the game is kind of slow. I don't know what 5 is going to look like. If it looks like 4, I don't want it.
I mean,
really,
I hate to say it. I mean, again, at our age, I really don't think we should care. Only because unless we're a video game designer or tester, being 30 years old, you really shouldn't have that big of a focus on video games, except maybe the occasional on a Saturday or Sunday you got some downtime and you might want to play a little bit.
You'd be surprised, dude.
I mean, I probably
grown men. I mean, some celebrities, Ice-T, you know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, again,
50-something.
But again, when you have time like that, of course, you're able to delve into it. It's kind of like our society, as we've grown, from hunter-gatherers, where essentially that was what we all had to do, to the point where delegated assignments mean that, they're going to hunter-gather, so we're going to go over here and, figure out how to break the codes on, Grand Theft Auto 5, Now that we've gotten into that, yeah, it can happen. But, I mean, as a whole, I mean, normal guys, I really can't see it being, that big of a deal. Like, I hate to say it, for most guys that I know that play video games, it's Madden and Live are like, the really big deals. And then there's guys that I know that play games like the Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and all that other stuff.
I'm not into that stuff.
Assassin's Creed. And, I mean, like you said, I mean, I've played them before, but I don't play them like that. So, I mean, give me a good, I hate to say it, like another Need for Speed or Midnight Club or something like that. I'm definitely down for. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be as big as they should be, because they just didn't come out soon enough to be relevant enough for the audience of the demographic that's going to appreciate them.
Fair enough.
Alrighty, so we're looking at Al Gore right now in the media recently, because he's asking America to stop driving.
Some kind of weirdo.
He's proposing a $90 trillion loan to ban cars from the world. Now, I would want to go ahead and just first off and say, Al, you're a big drippy douchebag for even suggesting this. This is stupid. This is completely asinine, and I cannot think in any way, shape, or form how this would work.
I think that Oscar you won for your documentary about the environment went straight to your head, buddy.
And the thing is, I think it was more, the only reason why he got the Oscar was because people were concerned about the subject nature of the film.
It's a beautiful
But,
film.
you know, it's more along the lines that, number one, in order to ask Americans to stop driving, you're going to have to ask them to rely more on other people and public transportation, which means that it's going to put more on the cities in order to accommodate these people.
Yeah.
So I can say that number one, you know, that's going to be hard because when you have, you know, traffic congestion and transportation issues in larger cities, in smaller cities, it's going to create even more of a hassle, when especially the rural areas when you're so far away. It's not going to be a way to ban it that way.
Not realistic at all.
It's not.
No
The
cry.
other side of it is that if you're proposing to do a $90 trillion loan, I mean, I'm just thinking that $90 trillion could be used for something better than trying to ban cars. Maybe, you know, find out a way to maybe make, if anything, and now this, when I heard this, my first thing was thinking, well, you know what? How about instead of banning cars, what we do is we just go ahead and make, you know, one type of car.
Solar.
You know, like back in, like when cars first came about, Henry Ford, you know, created Model T. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, it was like, you know, that's all there was.
Yeah.
If you had a car, it was a Model T. And the thing is, for the regulation, the standards, and everything else at the time, that's what the standard was. I think that if you want to work on saving the planet, Al, what you would want to do is basically design a car that's going to fit into the specifications needed to run cleanly and efficiently, and basically not take anything away from our Earth as a whole, but still give consumers the same availability to change, you know, to choose colors, maybe to choose different model types, you know, for different maybe body shapes and stuff like that.
Why not?
But if we're able to go ahead and do that to make it so that all cars are basically fitting under, you know, these specifications and so on and so forth, then it allows the other car manufacturers to still create their own cars with their own signature things that make them competitive. But at the same time, it also allows us to make it so that, if anything, you have a cap on the amount that people are spending for cars, which means that it's money that can go to other places. For an example, if we go ahead and, like you said, say we're going to go ahead and create this solar car, you know, and basically make it so that every Honda, Acura, BMW, Lexus, Toyota, everybody's basically going to have, you know, 3 standard solar cars. You know, they're going to bear their name.
Why not?
And then, so like I said, and then going forward from there, you can still do other stuff. So that way, you can go ahead and get your solar car, you know, for a very affordable price, which, you know, the government will help pay for if, you know, should you decide to do that. Say, you know, you're going to get it, they'll, you know, help you cover maybe the down payment or half the down payment or something like that, so that once you get the car, it's essentially paid for.
So you're saying like subsidize the car somewhat.
Yeah, so hold on, so that way you can drive that one, you don't need gas, you don't need anything for it, just maybe regular maintenance. And then the other side of it is that you still allow the larger car manufacturers to make their regular cars, but then you put a tax on driving those. So if I want to go outside, you know, if he makes the solar cars and that were to pass, say, you know, the car is going to cost, I don't know, we'll just say $3,000.
Wow, that's a cheap car.
Yeah, because it's solar powered, you know, light, efficient, everything, so on and so forth. I wouldn't expect it to be much larger than, you know, an actual dune buggy. You know, I'm just, you know, for the example.
Is it going to be a smart car?
Well, we're not going to, it could be. But just, you know,
like
for the general consensus, about the size of a dune buggy, you know, highway and road resistant, and maybe you can get wheels for that, you can go off-road. You know, you can do stuff to customize it. But essentially, you know, we're going to be having these dune buggies, $3,000. Maybe I want to, you know, put down, or I need to put down $1,500. So, you know, the government will go ahead and let me get $1,000. I put up my $5,000. I get the car. I go ahead and pay it off. It's all mine. But if I want to drive my Honda out on the street, I have to pay a tax for it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a daily tax, whether it's, you know, just for driving this type of car, I have to pay, you know, $5, you know, a day for driving it, you know, or, you know, for using it on certain roads, you may have to pay a certain toll or this, that, and the third, because, Yeah, I mean, again, there's certain ways to do it, but you don't want to ban it completely because
No.
you're messing with people's livelihood. It's kind of like when the United States decided to ban hemp. Essentially,
Yeah, everything was on hemp back in the day.
yeah,
The
it
Constitution was written on hemp, if you can believe that.
Yeah, and so then, but that's the thing, because it was so natural and so easily, available for everyone. It made it so that we were able to save a lot of money and put stuff towards other places, which actually also brought around the time that paper industries, clothing manufacturers and industries, all basically came to find that, hey, what, we're losing money, and so that was a push that made hemp illegal. And so again, if you decide to go ahead and make things legal, but go ahead and throw a tax on them, it allows you to still make money, but also regulate at the same time. So you may want to go ahead and look at that out. Don't try to ban cars, because you try to take my Honda from me, we're gonna have a problem.
Definitely. I was going to say use it to help the homeless and build some homes, but I mean cars. Help the homeless with the 70 trillion,
Yeah.
Do something special with it. But speaking of the whole cars thing, the price of gas has hit a historic low. I remember when I started driving, I got my license at 17, the end of 2000, we were paying just under $2 a gallon. And right now, it's just under $2 a gallon. What do you think about that, Tex?
Well, I mean, again, a little further back, I remember it being a little bit lower than that. And so, it's that matter where I remember when I was driving, at the time, I was driving a 4-speed 1985 Chevette. And I remember being able to fill up for a gallon. I remember, I think the most, like, maybe been like $1.20 a gallon. And so I'm glad that we're getting back down. I'm very happy to see that. But, it is, I think it's long overdue. I mean, we've been paying so much for gas for the longest time. And the thing is, nobody really knows why. They know that we've gone to war, over
Saudis.
oil and gas prices and all this other stuff. But, I mean, the end result is, with electric cars, like you said, with solar power, we have so many other options in order to run cars on.
We do.
Corn.
Ethanol.
Yeah, corn. I know there's even some people that use like recycled grease from restaurants in order to run cars. So I mean, there's so much that we can do. So I don't see why gas is still so high. And the thing is, I think that the government basically raises and lowers the prices as it sees fit in order to basically gain money. During times they know people are going to drive. Essentially, raise it right before people start traveling for Thanksgiving. Keep it raised all through the Christmas holiday until right before New Year, and go ahead and let it lower again. Raise it up right when spring starts again. Lower it down like in the middle, but bring it up right when summertime is coming. I mean, there's a lot of highs and lows that we see there.
I thought it was a stunt, because of the election. I thought it was just low because of the election season.
I mean, everybody's going to want to think, that there's, some overall contributing factor to the reason why, gas is going down. But the thing is that the reserves we have, are essentially, it's that continuing chain of being collected, being processed, and being distributed. And so the thing is, before we are in a period of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, where we're all out of gas and stuff like that, I believe it's going to be at least a couple of centuries. Because even if we were to run out of natural gas, I believe that we would still have the technology in order to work on, using electrical and solar power. Unless there is a third world war, a nuclear war, if anything, that were to wipe us out, where it wipes out all of our ability to establish electronical services. I mean, other than that, I think we'd be fine. So, I mean, I don't see what people are worried about.
I think they're worried because the death of the Saudi king that was in the news, and they were saying because he's gone, the people that are running the country now might not negotiate with the U.S. because he's friendly with the U.S. The king of Saudi Arabia that passed away, and they're concerned because of the Russians.
Right.
That it's going to be some kind of issue. The Russians have beef with them. They have beef with them. They like us. They don't like us.
Well, they do
he
say...
she said, kind of.
They do say that the friend of my enemy... The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes.
So, I mean, it is very possible that, something like that could happen. But again, if it hasn't happened already, I don't think there is really a need to speculate or get too worried about that.
Yeah.
Pardon me while I go ahead and take a quick sip. As you see, we got the sweaters on today, kicking it up a bench. This is the turned up edition of Are You Effing Serious? So, a little whiskey jumping off here.
Turned up. Yeah, he said turn up. Yeah, turn up.
All the way.
Yeah, it's going to get turned up.
Alrighty. So, where else we going? We're going to jump right back into the media again. And we're going to look at recent celebrity in trouble. Now, I hate people that are celebrities only because of who they are and not what they've done.
I get you.
But most recently, John Wayne's son, and this is Patrick Wayne. Now, a lot of people, you've never really heard of him. You probably didn't even know John Wayne had a son.
Not really.
But he did. And so, now, John Wayne's son is 75 now. 75 years old. And his wife, who is 45, are actually in the process of getting a divorce.
Sadly.
Now, it is sad. You got to think, when you got somebody that's 30 years your junior, that, you already had something there, that there was something good going on, and that it would, hopefully it would last. Now, this is the part that has me saying, are you effing serious? The reason why they're getting separated is because of a car. JC, would you like to go ahead and fill us in a little more about this particular story?
Yes. His wife wanted a specific type of Mercedes-Benz, an E-Class, I believe. And he only purchased her a C-Class. Now, I'm no expert in Mercedes-Benz. You know the finer things.
Right.
Let us know the difference between an E-Class and a C-Class.
About 30 to 40 grand.
Okay, well, that was easy.
Yeah, that's about the only difference between the two.
Oh.
And it seems crazy that two people would get separated over the fact that you didn't get the kind of car that you wanted.
Well, the police were called.
Okay.
The police were called, and this was on TMZ, so.
Okay, so, we're going to have to definitely check out TMZ now to go ahead. I'm sorry that they got the scoop before we did. They probably got some footage, too. But, again, I got to put myself, in his situation. I had to say, Pilgrim, if you're not happy with the Mercedes-Benz, you can give it back. My little John Wayne right there. But no, seriously, how can you get mad if somebody buys you a Mercedes-Benz? Like, how spoiled can you be?
I don't know, bro. Nobody ever bought me a Mercedes-Benz. I'd be grateful as a bitch if somebody did.
I would too, but it's also the fact that, it's not like he's known for being an actor or known for doing anything on his own level or on the court that made him famous.
Yeah.
So it's not, what makes her think that he has any money, that he has the finances or the resources or even availability to go out and get something like that?
I believe the estate of John Wayne could be worth between $300 or $400 million.
It could be.
If he gets the bulk of it. I don't know how many siblings he has. He might have to split this 5 or 6 ways.
Right.
You never know.
But then there's the other side of it is, but again, what makes her feel like she is so entitled that, it has to be, I figured there has to be something else. I figured that the car was the break, it wasn't a straw that basically broke the whole thing down. I figured there had to be something else there. Because, again, he's already 30 years older than you. So, you can't tell me that's love. Yeah. It may have been, but I'm going to be skeptical. So, he's 30 years older than you. And so if it wasn't the money, what else was it? Because if you're going to separate over a car, apparently that's telling you right there that it had to be more.
Probably. They've been married almost 15 years. And I didn't hear anything else. They got married in 1999. That's all I can tell you. Maybe there's something else going on. Because a car, people have issues with cars all the time, but I'm not going to divorce my wife over a car.
Oh, I wouldn't either.
It's kind of dumb.
I say that now, though. But, put me in this situation. Mm-hmm. We'd have to see. But I can definitely say I would divorce my wife for being unappreciative if I bought her a Mercedes and she did, decided not to appreciate that.